On June 14th, 2019, the man who walked through the doors of Beverly Hills' most prestigious jewelry store caused the security guard to instinctively reach for his radio. Disheveled black hair, a worn leather jacket, faded jeans, and a face carrying the weariness of years. But nobody knew that what would unfold over the next 15 minutes would go down as the most embarrassing moment in that store's history. Because the ordinary-looking man walking along the sidewalks of Rodeo Drive that morning was one of the most legendary names in rock history. And at that very moment, the store's sales associate Victoria Ashworth was about to make the biggest mistake of her career. It was 10 in the morning, and Belmont and Crown Jewelers gleamed with its usual silent luxury. Crystal chandeliers cast light onto polished marble floors, while the diamonds in the display cases reflected millions of dollars worth of dreams. The store was an institution serving Beverly Hills' wealthiest clientele. People who came here typically arrived in chauffeured cars, were hosted by private appointment, and shopped while sipping champagne. Victoria had worked at this store for 12 years and was supremely confident in her ability to assess a customer at first glance. Silk blouses, designer handbags, expensive perfumes. These were the signals that revealed a customer's wallet size. And the man about to walk through that door carried none of these signals. Ozzy Osbourne had left his Beverly Hills home alone that morning. It was one of those rare moments without Sharon by his side. His wife was busy with Kelly, handling the final preparations for a charity event, and Ozzy had wanted to seize this opportunity. Their wedding anniversary was approaching. July 4th. The word yes they had spoken in Hawaii 37 years ago still echoed in the softest corner of his heart. He wanted something special for Sharon, something surprising. He had sent his driver home, parked his car in a lot 1 block away, and decided to walk along Rodeo Drive. Sometimes being anonymous was more valuable than being a millionaire, but Ozzy's anonymous appearance wasn't creating quite the effect he had planned. Victoria walked toward the customer with a professional yet distant expression on her face. Her eyes quickly scanned from the man's worn shoes to his disheveled hair. A hint of disdain appeared at the corner of her lips, difficult to notice but definitely there. The man had no shopping bags in his hands, no expensive watch visible on his wrist, and she even thought his glasses looked like a cheap brand. She guessed to herself that he was probably a lost tourist, or perhaps just a curious passerby who had wandered in to look at the window displays. Politely directing these types of people toward the door was part of her job. After all, Belmont and Crown wasn't a place just anyone could walk into. When Victoria reached the man, her voice was sweet as honey, but cold as ice. "Sir, may I help you?" she said. What she actually wanted to say was, "What are you doing here?" But years of experience had taught her to mask such thoughts with polite words. Ozzy turned his head and looked at Victoria. There was weariness in his eyes, but also a warmth, a familiar melancholy. "I'm looking for something for my wife," he said, with that Birmingham accent. "Our wedding anniversary is coming up. I want something special." Victoria's eyebrows rose slightly. Something special for his wife. She thought to herself, this man probably couldn't even afford the cheapest silver necklaces in the display case. Just then, the back door of the store opened and a young woman walked in. Her name was Maria Gonzalez, 26 years old, mother of 2, and one of the cleaning staff at Belmont and Crown. Her youngest son, 3-year-old Carlos, had developed a fever again, and Maria had been forced to leave him with a neighbor. She couldn't afford to lose her job. Her husband had died in a construction accident last year, and now everything rested on Maria's shoulders. She made eye contact with the man standing in front of the display case. That face looked familiar, but she couldn't place where from. Maybe from television? Maybe from a movie? But she didn't have time to think about it. She needed to prepare her cleaning cart. Victoria turned back to Ozzy, and the fake smile on her face grew a bit more strained. "Sir," she said, her voice dropping a tone, "our collection consists of quite exclusive pieces. Perhaps I could suggest you look at other stores for options more suited to you." Ozzy immediately understood what the woman was implying. This wasn't the first time. Over the years, he had been subjected to similar looks, similar words. People judged him by his appearance, his disheveled hair, his ordinary clothes, his tired face. Nobody stopped to look and see the man inside. But Ozzy was past the age of getting angry. Instead, he smiled slightly. "I just want to look," he said gently. "My wife loves diamonds, especially pink ones." Victoria's eyes narrowed when the man said, "Pink diamonds." Pink diamonds were the store's most expensive pieces. A single one was equivalent to the price of an average house. This man was either joking or completely clueless. Victoria extended her hand and gestured toward the display case glass with an elegant motion. Her voice was even colder now, almost mocking. "Sir, our pink diamond collection is quite exclusive. Prices start at $500,000. Perhaps you'd be more comfortable looking at the window display from outside." The words hung in the air. "You can look from outside." 5 words. But those 5 words summarized years of arrogance, class discrimination, and the habit of assigning value to people based on their appearance. Maria heard these words while preparing her cleaning cart in the back. Her stomach turned. She was familiar with these kinds of looks herself. Every day, walking past the wealthy customers in this store, she felt invisible. Now, the treatment of this stranger reflected her own experiences. Ozzy was silent for a moment. He looked at Victoria's face. In the woman's eyes, there was a blindness that came from years of habit, the practice of categorizing people by labels, clothes, appearances. But Sharon came to Ozzy's mind. What had Sharon thought when she first saw him? Back then he was a rock star too, but the dark period he was going through had made him unrecognizable. Sharon had looked beyond the surface. She had seen the man inside, and now this woman was looking at everything except what was within him. Ozzy took a deep breath. "All right," he said quietly. "Maybe you're right. But could you tell me, where is your most expensive pink diamond collection displayed?" Victoria was uncomfortable with the man's insistence. Should she call security? No, not yet. The man didn't look threatening, just persistent. "In the private display room in the back," she said, her voice now completely impatient. "But that area is only for serious buyers. An appointment is required. And to be honest, sir, you would need to pass a credit check before entering that room." This was Victoria's last card for weeding out customers. It usually worked. People would step back in embarrassment. But Ozzy didn't step back. Instead, he pulled out an old, worn wallet from his pocket. Maria had approached the display area while pushing her cleaning cart. Her eye caught the card the man pulled from his wallet. A Centurion card. American Express's legendary black card. The person carrying this had to have annual spending of at least $250,000. Maria's eyes went wide. Who could this man be? Victoria, however, hadn't seen the card yet. She was still focused on the man's worn wallet. "Sir," she said, now openly impatient, "as I told you, this store isn't suitable for everyone. Please." Just then, the front door of the store opened, and 3 people walked in. 2 men and a woman. One of the men was wearing an expensive suit and held a professional camera in his hand. The other was carrying audio recording equipment. The woman, with a microphone and notepad in hand, was obviously a journalist. Victoria's face lit up. Media. This meant free publicity for the store. She immediately forgot about the man and walked toward the journalists. "Welcome," she said, her voice suddenly sweet as honey. "How may I help you?" The female journalist didn't even look at Victoria. Her eyes were locked on the disheveled-haired man standing in front of the display case. Her face held the expression of a child seeing their presents on Christmas morning. "Mr. Osbourne," the woman said breathlessly, "seeing you here is an incredible surprise. Could we do an interview for Rolling Stone magazine?" The words exploded like a bomb in the store. Mr. Osbourne. Victoria's world stopped in that moment. Her brain tried to process these 2 words. Osbourne? The name sounded familiar. Then the journalist continued. "We've caught Ozzy Osbourne, legendary vocalist of Black Sabbath, the Prince of Darkness of rock history, here in Beverly Hills." The color drained from Victoria's face within seconds. Her hands began to tremble. The man she had just told to look at the window display from outside was Ozzy Osbourne, who had sold over 100 million albums, been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and become a worldwide legend. Maria was watching everything from the back. Now she remembered the man's face. The Osbournes. That television show. She and her husband Miguel used to watch it together when he was alive. Miguel loved Ozzy's songs, especially Mama, I'm Coming Home. Ozzy turned to the journalists politely but firmly. "Excuse me," he said with that familiar Birmingham accent, "but I don't want to give an interview today. I came to buy a gift for my wife, for a special day. Please give us some privacy." The journalists were disappointed but didn't insist. Respecting Ozzy Osbourne's private life could open doors for bigger interviews in the future. They lowered their cameras and left the store. But before leaving, the female journalist turned to Victoria and looked at her with a mocking smile. "I hope you've been giving Mr. Osbourne good service," she said. "After all, he and his wife Sharon are one of the most charitable couples in this city. They donate millions of dollars every year." And they walked out the door. Victoria stood frozen in place. Her face was now white as paper. She had just tried to turn away one of the most famous names in rock history. And worse, she had done it in front of everyone. Ozzy turned to Victoria. He saw the mixture of panic, shame, and fear on the woman's face. Years ago, he had looked at a similar face himself, his own face in the mirror. The night he was fired from Black Sabbath, in that hotel room, this was the face he had seen in the mirror. Fear, shame, helplessness. Ozzy wasn't someone who looked for opportunities to take revenge. He never had been. Sharon always used to say, "You're too soft-hearted for this world." And she was right. "I'm sorry," Victoria stammered. "I didn't know. I'm so sorry, Mr. Osbourne. Please don't file a complaint. I need this job. I've been working here for 12 years, please." Ozzy raised his hand and stopped the woman. His voice was soft, almost fatherly. "Calm down," he said. "I'm not going to complain about anyone." Victoria's eyes filled with tears. She couldn't understand. This man had just been humiliated. He had been asked to leave. And now, instead of taking revenge, he was comforting her? "But I want you to learn something," Ozzy said. His voice was still soft, but there was a steely seriousness beneath it. "I grew up in one of the poorest neighborhoods in Birmingham. Sometimes there was no food at home. People used to look at us the same way you looked at me. I know that look. And that look breaks people. It makes them feel invisible. It makes them feel worthless." Victoria was now openly crying. Her mascara was running down her cheeks, but she didn't care. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm truly sorry." Just then, Ozzy's eye caught Maria standing in the back. The woman had hidden behind her cleaning cart, watching the scene. When she saw Ozzy looking at her, she panicked. "I'm just the cleaning lady," she said quickly. "I shouldn't have been here. I'm sorry. I'll leave right away." Ozzy stopped. "No," he said gently. "Don't go." Maria's heart raced. Was she in trouble? She looked at Victoria's face, but the woman was still in shock. "I didn't do anything," Maria said. "I was just doing my job." "I know," Ozzy said. "But you look very sad. What's the reason?" Maria didn't know what to do with this unexpected question. This man, as she had just learned, was a millionaire, maybe a billionaire. And now he was taking time to talk to a cleaning lady. "Nothing," Maria said quickly. "Everything's fine." But her voice was trembling, and Ozzy immediately recognized the lie. "When I lost my closest friend," Ozzy said slowly, "I used to tell everyone everything was fine too, but it wasn't. Nothing was fine. Randy, my guitarist, he died in a plane crash. He was 25 years old. I still carry that pain." Maria's eyes went wide. How did you know?" Ozzy shrugged. "I recognize that look. I know the darkness, because I lived there too." Maria's resistance broke. Words began to flow as if a dam had burst. Her husband Miguel, a construction accident, 9 months ago. The insurance company hadn't paid. They had called it a safety violation. The company had gone bankrupt. 2 children. Rent, bills, food. Everything was on Maria's shoulders. This morning, Carlos had developed a fever, but Maria had to come to work, because if she missed even one day, she could be fired. And if she was fired, they would end up on the street. Ozzy listened to every word in silence. There was no judgment on his face, no pity either, only understanding, only recognition. He knew this story. Different names, different places, but the same story, the struggle to survive, the search for light in the darkness. Maria paused. "I'm sorry," she said quickly. "I shouldn't have burdened you with all this. You're a customer. I'm just the cleaning lady." Ozzy pulled out his phone from his pocket. He dialed a number. Maria and Victoria watched in astonishment. "Sharon," Ozzy said into the phone. "Yes, I'm at the jewelry store." "No, I haven't bought anything yet, but I need to ask you something." "No, it can wait. Listen, there's a woman here. Maria. She has 2 children. She lost her husband. Can we do something through our foundation?" "Yes, I know. You think like me." "Okay, thanks, love." Ozzy hung up the phone and turned to Maria. "Sharon and I have a foundation," he said. "We help families in difficult situations. Quietly, without media, without drama. Just real help. They'll contact you next week. Rent, bills, your children's education. Everything will be taken care of." Maria's knees gave out. She had to lean against the wall. "This can't be real," she said in a whisper. Victoria had watched this entire conversation in silence. Something inside her had broken. She had worked at this store for 12 years. For 12 years she had judged people by their appearance. She had fawned over customers in expensive clothes, looked down on people in simple attire. And now, a rock legend, with the attention he showed a cleaning lady in 10 minutes, had taught Victoria something she hadn't learned in 12 years. A person's value is not in their wallet, but in their heart. Ozzy bought a $1.2 million pink diamond necklace that day. Victoria, with her commission, had made the biggest sale of her life. But the real change was beyond the numbers. Maria Gonzalez received a phone call from the Osbourne Foundation 3 weeks later. Her rent was paid for 6 months. Her children's health insurance was arranged. And more importantly, Maria was given a scholarship for accounting classes at community college. 2 years later, Maria was no longer a cleaning lady. She was working at a small accounting firm. Carlos and Sophia were getting their education at a proper school. Victoria Ashworth continued working at Belmont and Crown, but she was a different person now. She greeted every customer, whoever they were, with the same respect. She no longer looked at worn shoes, but at the light in people's eyes. When Sharon Osbourne put on the pink diamond necklace on their wedding anniversary that year, she couldn't hold back her tears. Nearly 40 years of marriage, countless ups and downs, illnesses, addictions, fights and reconciliations. And still, this man managed to surprise her.